Admiral's Log, June 12, 1910. Recent developments in our ongoing naval engagements with Japan have ushered in a wave of grave concern. A fierce clash between our Soviet fleet and the Japanese Navy has starkly highlighted the formidable capabilities of their new dreadnoughts. The encounter, brimming with intensity and peril, has left an indelible mark on our naval strategy and outlook. In this harrowing battle, our battleships Sviatoy Yakov and Chesma found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned, facing the daunting prowess of these advanced Japanese vessels. It was only through sheer tenacity and skillful navigation that they managed a narrow escape, returning to our waters with tales of a starkly superior adversary. Compounding our tribulations, the heavy cruiser Europa, a vessel that had become a symbol of our naval might and a beacon of pride for our fleet, fell in this engagement. The loss of Europa, which had built a legend for herself through numerous victories and strategic triumphs, is a bitter blow. Her demise not only signifies a significant tactical setback, but also sends ripples of mourning and a sense of vulnerability throughout our ranks. Confronted with these new Japanese dreadnoughts, it has become alarmingly clear that our Navy is currently ill-equipped to contend with this heightened level of threat. The prowess and technological advancement of these enemy ships have unveiled a gap in our own naval capabilities, a gap that must be urgently addressed. This moment serves as a pivotal juncture for the Soviet Navy. The challenge now lies in rapidly devising and implementing strategies to counter this formidable new threat. Our approach must be multifaceted, encompassing accelerated technological advancements, tactical innovations, and possibly even strategic alliances to bolster our position. As I chart our course forward in this daunting scenario, the loss of the Europa and the escape of our battleships serve as stark reminders of the relentless nature of naval warfare. The stakes have never been higher, and the urgency to adapt and overcome has become a paramount priority. The Soviet Navy stands at a critical crossroads. Our response to this new challenge will not only determine the immediate outcome of our engagements with Japan, but will also shape the future trajectory of our naval power. In the face of adversity, our resolve is tested, and it is in these testing times that true strength and character are forged.
Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to episode 13. In episode 12 we ran into a bit of a problem. A dreadnought. A new dreadnought for the Japanese. Said dreadnought had 10 12.3-inch guns. Very, very scary ship to deal with. What do I have that can possibly fight that? I have the Europa class. She's armed with relatively small guns. These things are designed with 11-inch guns, and these 11-inch guns are mostly there to deal with cruisers, with the plan being that for example, the Archangel class is able to close the distance and then deal with the bigger targets with torpedoes. I feel that's not going to work anymore, especially not as the Archangels only do 19 knots. I'm going to try and come up with a new design. Now, there's a few different ways you can get out of you can get rid of a ship. One, reduce structural integrity to none. I think that's the least likely option. 2, burn it to the ground. Cause extensive fire overwhelm. So fire so much high explosive at it that the thing just burns to the ground. It's possible, and it's not necessarily a great way to go about it. Option 3, sink the thing with torpedoes. Make its buoyancy go all the way to 0. Option 4, eliminate the crew. So eliminate 45% of the crew and the ship will surrender. Those are the core options that you have. When it comes to my options, I feel they're quite limited. That battleship of theirs had a substantial protection, I believe, against torpedoes. So using a torpedo attack is not that likely to work well. All the more so because it had, I think, 16 4-inch guns, which can be very, very lethal to destroyers. Now, I have this new large armored cruiser hull. This thing has a resistance of 75, What I have been using is the old heavy cruiser of the Archangel class. I think that's the semi-armored. I'm not even sure if I can make them anymore. No, I can't make them anymore. They're not going to have as much resistance. This is 55, this is 75, this is 75 again. Hull form here is 52, hull form here is 59. So the hull form means that the ship is a fairly stable firing platform. Stability 60, stability 55. When it comes to the speed, this thing is registered for about 21.5. This thing is slightly slower at 19.5. So this means this heavy cruiser is going to be not as quick. That's not necessarily a bad thing. What I want to try and do is have this thing travel at more or less the same speed as the Europas, which is 25. Now that might be asking a lot. Because at 25, we're probably going to see astronomical increases in pricing. And I'm not sure if I want to do that. Let's see what the magical drop-off is. I know I'm over budget or over displacement, so don't worry about that. I think we're, yeah, 33 to 34. This was 58 million to 68 million to 79. This is going to get exponentially worse. Okay. Ideally, I'd want these things not to be extraordinarily expensive, because I want to be able to build a lot of them. When it comes to their size, their minimum is 13.5. And because of tech, I cannot build anything bigger than that. So that means I can reduce draft and beam, but I don't think that's going to really work. I need something that is stable, or stable enough. Long range accuracy. Small reinforced tower. Yeah, we're not going to get a whole lot of options out of this ship. It's a heavy cruiser that's basically a small dreadnought. And you can see that it has casemates. These are casemates Mark II 5-inchers or Mark III 3-inchers. Ranging out to 7 kilometers, which is better than the Mark II. And this is why I tend to use Mark III. Yeah, so the Mark III... What? Ah, I see how it is. You can only mount 5-inch casemates in these ports. Right. Okay, so we're not going to torpedo it. We're not going to simply outshoot it with structural integrity issues. So let's reduce structural integrity to none. That leaves either crew loss or burning. Now, burning is something that at this era you don't do fantastically well, although it is possible. Now, I have Mark III 9-inch, 10-inch, and 11-inch. So I have options. I'm thinking of making these, let's say, multi-role ships, in the sense that they're going to be able to take down both those big-ass battleships and smaller targets. And here's how we're going to do that. That's a huge barbette. Do we have anything more reasonable? We do not. Are you kidding? There. I'm thinking of using, like, an 11-incher. The problem is its rate of fire is awful slow. This is going to be able to deal with big targets if I use really high-end AP, capitalistics. This should give them enough pen to go through the battleship, but I'm not sure if it will, because that battleship is very well armored. Now, I can still improve the shell type, so let's say Dunite and Cordite, and give them heavy shells. This is going to give me a bit more pen, and at 10 kilometer range, I probably won't hit them, so you're more likely to be fighting at 5, which gives me 31 inches of armor pen. That is a lot. Is that enough? That's the real question. Is that enough? And I simply don't know. It will be way more than enough to deal with smaller ships. So what I can do is reverse the roles, if you will. And here's what I mean by that. I'm going to be using the lower end of the AP. So let's say standard shells. These are going to be more than enough to go through any cruiser. that the enemy might have. And keep in mind, I'm facing battleships now, but it's not the only threat. Some navies have tons and tons and tons of cruisers. And in that case, an 11-inch gun with armor piercing is going to be more useful. But the reload is something that these things simply don't have, nor that I can really buff. If I want to give them, let's say, the best chance to hit, I'm going to give them longer barrels, but my reload's probably, 75 seconds. So you're never going to overwhelm any battleship with this, which means that the 11-inch guns really aren't that good of an option. The alternative then is to use 9-inchers. They don't have as much range, nor do they really need to, but I can fit more of these on my ship. No. Hold on a minute. What the fuck? Okay. Look, game. If you're gonna let me build weird ships, you know I will build very weird ships. That is just how I play this game. If you're going to give me the option to do it, there's a fairly sizable chance that I will do it. This is... yes. How much worse can I make this? Or can I simply mount the 9-inchers like over there? No, not really, can you? Hold on, you go back here. No way. Does this rotate? Yeah, it should. What the hell? This is going to be a Frankenstein of a ship at this rate. And yes, I know the Frankenstein guy was the creator, not the monster itself, whatever. What? Side-by-side funnels? You're going to have to run it by me how that fits on that hull. That makes absolutely no sense. Whatever, it's a fugly ship as is. We might as well make it worse. So, at this rate, this ship, if I go capitalistic and then nose fuse, is going to have a fairly sizable chance of putting ships on fire. Lots and lots of fire. Because I should be able to bring at least 6 barrels to bear, and potentially more. Let's say I want to have another center line over there. Pitch and roll. I need a bit of work. Beyond that, they're perfectly fine. Well balanced. Coincidence rangefinder. Yeah, and I guess the rest is going to go into armor. Give me 2 inches superstructure. I can make a 5-inch main belt. 5. Main deck of 2 inches. Aft 2. Foredeck 2. Keep in mind, we don't have an all or nothing armor scheme yet. I want to push this thing farther back so that it can do a full spin. Which it can. Can I? No. I was hoping to put yet another weapon here, but I sadly cannot. Casemates. This is going to add a lot of weight to the ship. Not necessarily that much firepower, sadly. Because these things simply don't really have that much range. They don't have a great reload. But if it comes to setting fires, they can help. They can help. They have a range now of about, let's say, just shy of 10 kilometers, as they're going to be firing high explosive. I don't care for anything else. The rest of the ship should be able to cape a fairly decent amount of ammo for both type of shell. Considering the enemy has potentially like a lot of cruisers, I'm going to be bringing capitalistic, maybe capped. Give it slightly less ricochet chance. It gives me 20 inches of pen, about 21 at 5,000 meter range. That should be more than sufficient. When it comes to the rest of the ship, I think she's mostly fine. The only thing is, I'd love her to be a little faster than this. But she can keep up with the Dreadnoughts. And I think that's the key. What is my self-explosion chance? Holy mother of God. 41.5%. Almost 42. That is not great. TNT gives me only 28, which is still really high. Plus 14% fire chance. No thanks. Standard shells drops it to 21.8. I really want to keep this as low as possible. 21.8, as far as I'm concerned, is too high. And the reason for that is I got a lot of turrets. And they generally don't cook off, just have one cook off and then be done with it. Like, it's a full party. Everything is going to cook off. Every single turret on this ship is going to go up. And with that, the whole ship will be lost. Considering these things cost me $101 million, which is still less than a Europa class, but it's a big-ass ship. Yeah, I don't want to lose them due to flash fires. Build time 15 months. That is far, far slower than the Archangels. The Europas, 19 months. Yeah. Still, I think I need these to deal with all the cruisers. Not necessarily from the Japanese, but from everybody else. You mean 8-inch main belt? Yeah, that's a bit much. 7-inch. And let's say 4.5 fore, and maybe 4.5 aft. And we are within budget. 4 red offsets, about 8%. It's not great, but we'll make do. If you point this thing directly at a target, it should be able to bring 8 barrels to bear. More or less. Like, don't ask me how these things are mounted on the sides. We're just going to say it's Russian engineering. Does it make sense? No. But whatever. Now, I do want to see if I can just skip over the barbette. Sometimes this thing wants to turn, and sometimes it doesn't. Remove this casemate. No, I just need the gun. This thing. That's better. So I do not need the barbettes, which saves me, like, what? 44 tons. It's not great, but hey, all that can go into additional protection, especially making sure that my flash fire chance gets reduced. It's still going to be pretty high at 18%, and I will at some point have one of these things cook off. You know, so be it. Cost of doing business. Cost of doing business. So, this is the derped class. No, we're going to call this the derp class, because that's basically what it does. It just derps a whole lot of 9-inch in your face. And when it's done derping 9-inch, it's going to even throw a couple of these. This does make me wonder if it's... Do I need this? Do I need this at all? Let me guess, it's the casemate again? No, it's not the casemate. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, we are going to need that. That was this thing. That was that thing. I know I hate on this game a lot, but Dreadnoughts don't change. At least not this, because I find this highly amusing. Right, the derp class. Being able to build these is going to cost me a lot of money. So we're going to have to save money somewhere else. And that is a problem. Because my money flow hasn't been great as is. My cash flow has been and probably will continue to be a problem. And this means I'm going to have to save money somewhere. So that is likely going to be on tech. Now, I am behind on tech. But if you look at the politics screen, it seems like mostly everybody's behind. British, very advanced, average, average. United States, behind. China's average. Japan's average. Italy's behind. Spanish are behind, and I'm behind. So yeah. It's not going to be great. But this is the hand I have been dealt. We're going to have to make work with it. Holy crap, look at that. GDP growth, minus 45%. Somebody pointed this out. I'm not sure if there's anything I can do about this. I don't think there is, sadly. So I get a decent amount of province income. If I compare this to Italy, they get no additional province income. Huh. So getting additional provinces is going to be more important. What does, for example, the British Empire get? Yeah, they get a very low province income. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's go and get a couple of these things ordered, because it will be another 15 months older by the time that these get here. It's going to cost me 27 million a month, which means that in about 14 months I'll be broke. That is not a nice prospect to have. I want to keep my transport cap. We're going to have to, I don't know, get it out of the naval budget. But I do believe we were also building some ships for the Canadians. No. Actually. We're not. Hopefully the Canadians will want a few more ships. So that I can go arms dealing with Canadians again and get more money that way. Up until such a point, you know, resource budget is going to have to suffer. And I hope that we don't fall behind more. What I want to try and do is just form up with a whole bunch of ships and start taking provinces off of the Japanese. Because if my provinces are that valuable, we're just going to have to get more of them. It is that simple. A few months later, and everybody appears to be at war with everybody else now. I'm not sure if there's any neutral power at this point. And Italy decides that it wants to cut its losses and sue for peace. I have agreed, mostly because I want their money, 247 million. I don't care for any of their ships. I mean, a battleship worth 47 million, how good can it be? No, thank you. So, I don't care for any of their ships, we're just going to take their money. And that should keep me, afloat for a while longer. Austria-Hungary is replacing its admiral. I've seen the Italians do the same thing. I've seen the British do the same thing. It looks like everybody is getting very concerned about how their navy is getting managed, because maybe they're not quite getting the results that they want. Which is good when it comes to my preferences as to the fortunes of my enemies. Now, I am losing transports. This is not great for my economy, but Japan has it worse. They are losing more transports. And moreover, they have lost something. Oh, yes, Greece, go and order my destroyers. They have lost Korea. They have lost Korea. Southeast Korea has fought its way out of the Japanese Empire. This means that the Japanese are now 1 billion short. Well, maybe not short, but they don't have the money for it. Is this capable of getting taken over? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're allied with anybody, but I don't think so. Would they like to ally with me? Maybe. Do I want them to? Not really. Because they don't have a navy. They're just a new nation. They can order. If I mean, they got money, I'd be happy to take it off their hands and give them a new ship. Anyway, let's have a look at the navies and the nations. I am very, very buddy-buddy with the British. The British are fighting the Italians and the Austro-Hungarians. They are also allied with the Chinese. The Germans fighting the Japanese for some reason and the Chinese for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if this is a good idea for Germany, but they're going to have to send ships all the way across the world to that one little port that they have over in China. In the United States, at war with Spain, Austria-Hungary. What did they do to offend the United States? I don't know. Over here, China, of course, at war with Germany. Also at war with Austria-Hungary. Good luck sending them ships. And with the Italians. Most likely because I am an ally of them. And with that, they have to follow me into the war. The French fighting the Italians, the Austro-Hungarians, the Japanese. Austria-Hungary fighting everybody but Germany. And it just gets, for Italy, progressively worse. Because now they have peace with me. They're still at war with the Chinese. They're still almost going to be at war with the US. They're at war with the French and with the British. And I believe the French are trying to push their army into their territory. So good luck to Italy. I don't know if it's going to be existing in another 10 to 20 years. Empire of Japan at war with France and Germany. This is good for me. Because it means that they are also going to have to force down the enemy. And it looks like Japan has taken enormous losses since last we saw them. The irony is that I'm now building ships and have refits on my other ships for a threat that no longer exists. Because the Japanese have lost their battleships. They're now basically a very, very tiny navy. And this might open up the way for me to do an invasion. So that's what I'm going to try and do. As for my navy, I only have 54 ships, but I have most of those spread into the higher categories, battleships and heavy cruisers. I have no torpedo boats, no nonsense like that. I do have big gun destroyers and okay light cruisers. So let's see if there is any area that I might be able to take. First, Chesma is going to have a little squirrel or a little quarrel with what remains of the Japanese Navy. Let's do this first and then see where, if anywhere, I can take the fight to the enemy on land. Battleship Chesma might be old, but that also means that she's experienced. The ship is crewed by veterans, which gives me a lot of bonuses, more accuracy, more aiming, less reload, and far better damage control. So if the ship, for some reason, is to take a lot of damage in this fight, and I rather doubt it, I should be able to get the ship back into functioning order pretty quick. The enemy over here is sporting guns that are only 7-inch. They do have a whole slew of 4.7s. That is something that I need to be aware of, because the 4.7s are capable of eradicating crew or setting fires or both. So that's something that I would love to try and prevent. Let's slow the ship down, because what they have, and I do not, is torpedoes. Their torpedo range is not on this ship. What is that? That looks weird. You're a CL, right? You're a very long CL. Okay. They got a torp of 3 kilometers. There's also 2 DDs, but they've joined the Vape Club and I can't see them. So for now, we're just going to have to deal with these ships as we can see them. This guy is behind smoke. Okay. I think the smoke screen from the CL isn't that sizable, but the game seems to think so. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait until the smoke clears. There's the DDs. What's your torpedo range then? Is that still 5, or have the Japanese made another breakthrough? Yeah, it's 5. So we're pretty much inside the torpedo range of the trailing destroyer, and the lead destroyer is out of torpedo range. Hold on. Yeah, 5-1. You're a different class. No, you got all the guns. Look at this. This guy, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same class. Yeah, 4 funnels. 4 funnels. But this thing has older guns. And you can tell by looking at the range circles. This one has 4.1-inch guns at 5-kilometer range. This one has 4.1-inch guns at 5.4. So it's possible that they have adapted the design. And either she has newer guns or she has some sort of different loadout. This is something that I have to keep in mind, because the 5.4 torpedo range... sorry, the 5.4 is slightly more threatening, potentially. But it's not really something I can take too seriously, because it's just a 4.5-inch or 4.1-inch gun. The bigger risk here is torpedo attack. That's why I'm also trying to slowly but steadily trail away from the Yubari, because she is definitely in possession of torpedoes and probably very eager to show me what those things can do. So I'm not that eager for her to get very close, thank you very much. I'm going to put primaries on that, secondaries on Yubari. You already got an ammo detonation, that's excellent. I'm going to turn the Chesma away more, because Kumano also has torpedoes. There goes Yubari. You got torped by the Kuban? You phenomenal cruiser. I didn't even recognize it was Kuban, but yeah. The Kuban is a cruiser that we've seen quite a few times before. And she has done phenomenally well in almost every encounter that she's been in. And now she just single-handedly, well, mostly single-handedly sunk Yubari. Seeing as she did 11,000 points of damage. And Yubari took, well, something like that. 3 torpedoes for 9,500 points of damage, and then a bit of 4-inch gunfire from Kuban, leading to the very swift destruction of that ship. So, Kumano did try and torp. Kumano failed in said attempt, and Kumano is not going to be going home. Unfortunately, I feel like I might not be able to catch the destroyers with the Chesma, because I can only do 20 knots, but Kuban can do 29 knots. So we're going to detach her from the group. She was just following. And can you please put this thing out of its misery? Boom. That's more flooding. And she's gone. There's the destroyer. Nowaki. I really appreciate the attempt here from the Japanese to take the fight to me, because I haven't had an opportunity to level the scores yet. The Japanese, with that previous encounter, really did a lot of damage to my fleet, and as such, also to my victory points. So I'm very eager to repay the favor. I'll not be able to sink any battleships, to be sure, as they don't have any. So that means we'll just have to satisfy, or be satisfied with the fact that we can take down a few of their ships, and that they basically don't have a navy anymore. So the Japanese, at least for a while, will not be a threat. Meaning that it might be possible for me to go harvesting some terrain from the Europeans in various locations. But I do need more ships there. As the Japanese are no threat, at least not anymore, and the Chinese are my ally, I can potentially take over the territory that the Germans have. Because I believe I am at war with Germany, but I'm not 100% on that. So I have options to take terrain from either the Europeans in Europe, or from the Europeans over... Ooh, that got killed off. Or from the Europeans over here. Over here in Asia. Ooh, torpedo launch from Kuban. Sorry, I had to take a screenshot. This is just point blank fuck you torpedo range. These things have some magical torpedo resistance, right? This thing got hit by three torpedoes. 4 torpedoes, actually, but there were 2 duds. These are 19-inch? Yeah. So you got hit by 2 19-inch torpedoes on a DD, and you lost 30%. That's 30% structural integrity. Tops. They have some sort of magical torpedo resistance. I would think that if a destroyer gets hit by a torpedo, pretty much any torpedo, it ceases to exist. But the game? No. The game does not seem to think so. I can't explain it. If you can, by all means, let me know down below. Look at that victory points. That is good stuff right there. And that does level the score. It's not necessarily going to give me a ton of money, because the situation is still so that the Japanese and I, well, you know, we're pretty even for scores. Like, I might have a bit more, but it's not that more. So... yeah, it's 14 versus 8.5. It's not going to be that great. What naval assets do I have in the region? I have Chesma. I have the Sviatoy. I'm going to need about 41,000 points. Oh, sorry, that's 41,000 tons together. I need another 60,000 tons if I want to be able to even consider an invasion. I do have 2 CAs there. That's about 15. So, yeah, we're not even anywhere near. Petropavlovsk has no ships, so I pretty much can't do anything. That is unfortunate. I still need to refit a bunch of my ships, but money is starting to become a bit of a problem. Yeah, I'm reworking some of the Comrade Cats. The reason for this is that they're still pretty good ships. With the refit, they do cost you 74 million. Compare that to the derp, and the derp is far more expensive, but then again, these only displace 11,000 tons. But they do now travel at 25 knots, which is substantially faster than what they used to have way back in the day, 21.5. So their guns have been improved, their range-finding capability has been improved, their armor quality has been improved. I just need to go through refitting the ships that I have. And as I do want to try and get invasions, it's not like I'm really able to be picky about what ship I have. I'm just going to have to make do with the tonnage that I get. Oh, I'm not at war with Germany, actually. I am at war with the Austro-Hungarians, and I'm going to keep that going. Because we have the place here completely surrounded, and their army is going down at an alarming rate. The group in Galicia is extremely ambitious, both invading Bohemia, Moravia, and Poland at the same time. And by some miracle, they're actually making progress over here. I think this has to do with my low logistics quality. My army logistics is 29%, and theirs is like 100. So yeah, my army is fighting at very, very low amounts of power. It has to do with transport capacity, it has to do with Navy's power. My naval power is not that great. It's power rating 46%. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I'm also not exactly sure what to do to improve it. If you do know, by all means. It's not that you have a lot of ships in repair. I don't know. At least here you get a tooltip. Over here, you get nothing. So, continue on and see if the Japanese want to play ball. Is it possible for me to relocate ships, let's say from here? Because I do have my fleet over there. That's 98,000 tons. Maybe. I got another DD over there, got another DD over here. So that would be just shy of 100k. Hold on. They have all sorts of ships here. What is this? A CL and 2 CAs. Okay. Fine. Let's send them the good news. Send them the fleet. I still have the problem of not having a whole lot of money. And I don't know how to... Very behind. Wow. I don't know exactly how to fix that. But that does make this campaign very interesting. I'm constantly strapped for money. And beyond taking additional territory or scrapping ships, which is going to make holding that territory more difficult, I don't really know what to do. That is something that we'll have to figure out in a future episode, though. If you have any ideas, by all means, let me know down below in the comments. However, please be advised that I'm recording these things pretty much way in advance at this point. So by the time that I might see your comment, it's entirely likely that I'll have progressed another 5, 6, 7 episodes. So it's not something that I read now, as you're watching this video, and implement tomorrow. I might implement it, well, retroactively, let's say 8 episodes from now. Anyway, that'll be it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more.